year is 1347. Streets overflow with the dead and dying. People are covered in painful sores. This is the Black Death, one of the deadliest pandemics in human history. It all started in Asia, spreading like wildfire along trade routes. Rats carrying infected fleas boarded ships, unknowingly bringing the plague to distant lands. Soon the Black Death reached Europe, changing the course of history forever. The plague was ruthless. It spared no one, rich or poor, young or old. People lived in constant fear, unsure if they would wake up the next day. Imagine the horror of watching your loved ones perish, powerless to stop the inevitable. The Black Death left an unforgettable mark on the world, a stark reminder of the fragility of life. The Black Death was a type of plague caused by the bacterium Yersinia pestis. This deadly bacterium spread through the air and through the bite of infected fleas, which often lived on rats. At that time, people knew nothing about bacteria or how diseases spread. This made the plague even more terrifying and difficult to combat. The first sign of infection was often a painful swelling called a bubo, which appeared in the groin, neck or armpits. These buboes would turn black, giving the plague its infamous name. Other symptoms included fever.
Human history. In the mid-14th century, this ruthless plague, thought to be bubonic plague, swept through Europe with a ferocity that was unprecedented. Cities that were bustling centres of trade and commerce turned into ghost towns overnight. The streets, once filled with the sounds of daily life, now echoed with the wails of the sick and the mourning. The Black Death did more than just decimate populations, it uprooted the very fabric of society. Feudalism, the system that had structured European society for centuries, began to crumble as serfs, suddenly scarce, found they could demand wages and better conditions. This shift eventually led to the rise of the working class and fundamentally changed the economic landscape of Europe. Culturally, the impact was just as profound. The pervasive presence of death led to a morbid fascination with the macabre, reflected in the art and literature of the time. It also spurred a wave of spiritual introspection and the questioning of religious institutions which were powerless to stop the plague. But perhaps the most lasting effect of the Black Death was on public health and urban planning. Cities, once overcrowded and ripe for disease, began to implement measures for sanitation that are the precursors to our modern public health systems. It taught us the hard lessons of hygiene and disease prevention that are still relevant in today's world. So, as you see, the Black Death was not just a historical event to be glanced over in history books. It was a cataclysm that reshaped our world in ways that are still being felt today. It's a stark reminder of how humanity, when faced with the greatest adversities, can adapt and evolve.